Acts chapter 1. We talked about what the apostles, and we don't know the number of apostles that were in that upstairs apartment together, but we do know that by the time Peter stood up among them to really take the lead and suggest that the prophecy out of the book of Psalms from the writings of and poetry of David indicate that there would be a betrayer and that he needs to be replaced. And by the time Peter stood up to make this suggestion or offer his leadership, there were about 120 of them. I don't know what if you. We don't know exactly where they were at the time. But anyway, okay. So where we left off last time was verse 23. Right before that, Peter had said, "Here are the requirements. Here's the criteria for who these men should be. Number one, they had to have been with us all the time that Jesus was living among us, beginning with the baptism of John all the way through to when he was taken up before us." Now, evidently, the group all said, "That sounds good." I want to pause right here and reflect on the fact that Peter was the guy who, if they elected someone, we don't know about it. I think Peter just stood up and took leadership. And that's a little bit of a big deal. Here's why. Peter had denied Jesus 3 times on that night when he was betrayed. Peter had hated himself, but he was restored by Jesus after Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection. And Jesus' words to him were, "Feed my sheep, feed my lambs. Do you love me? Yes, Lord, feed my sheep." That was not what I would consider a formal designation as leader of the band. But here in Jerusalem, after the ascension, Peter steps into the role of leader. Okay, that's a big enough deal. Second piece of that is everybody else agreed. And you got 2 guys in this crowd that could have said, wait, what are we, chopped liver? James and John. Because the 3 that had been in Jesus' inner circle, Peter, James, and John, could have said, "Hey, dude, we could do that. But you're not better than us." It turns out it's not about better than us. It turns out they had no objection. Golly, I wish the church was more like that today. Then it wasn't about, no, I can do this better than you can. And it wasn't about garnering votes so that when, the leaders are elected by the church through a democratic process, which, oh, by the way, didn't even exist in the day that Peter stood up among the apostles and the others and made this suggestion. Well, I don't know. They accepted his leadership. And in verse 23, they nominated 2 men. I think the term there for nominated, I don't have any idea what the Greek word is, but I think what they're talking about is if you're going to select someone out of a group of people, you're going to have to narrow the group down, and they narrowed it to 2. The two were Barsabbas and Joseph. Well, wait. Joseph was called Barsabbas, also known as Justus. I mean, this guy had three names. Okay. And Matthias. Don't know anything more about these guys than that they're listed here in the book of Acts. After they had nominated them, they prayed. Verse 24, Lord, you know everyone's heart. Show us which of these two you have chosen to take over this apostolic ministry, which Judas left to go where he belongs. Interesting. It doesn't start, the prayer, and I don't know who led this prayer, who, worded it. Possibly Peter, could have been, but it could have been somebody else. But anyway, this was the prayer. And it doesn't start with, Lord, you know the guy that has all the skills that are needed to do this ministry. It starts with, you know everyone's heart. Now, I only have 45 years experience in church ministry, but I do know this. In those years, I'm grateful that I didn't observe it very often, but occasionally I observed men and women put into leadership positions because of their capabilities, but their hearts were not fully devoted to Jesus. All right, as that came out of my mouth, I'm thinking, are any of us fully devoted? I think we're all on a continuum. The point that I see here is this is not about skill. This is not about talent. This is not about what they can bring to the table. It's about their heart. In God's economy, a person's heart is of first importance. All right. Show us which of these two you have chosen to take over this apostolic ministry. And I talked about apostolic ministry already. Which Judas left to go where he belongs. Ooh, that's pretty tart. So where did he go? Well, he went to his death. And I think for the apostles, as they were, pondering this, their belief would have been, I think, he went to eternal torment, where all betrayers belong. A prayer for direction and wisdom. And then look what they did in verse 29. They cast lots. They threw dice. And the lot fell to Matthias. So he was added to the 11 apostles. It's almost like they prayed and they knew God. The first thing was, in God's economy, it's the heart that matters most. Okay, God, you know everybody's heart. Now show us who should take this role. And then they flipped a coin. Interesting. I'm not sure that this is here for us to go, okay, that's how we elect everybody in our church. You boil it down to a couple and then you flip a coin. I don't think that's it. But what casting lots for a Jew for thousands of years had been the general practice for decision making. Was it superstitious? Well, I think modern people would probably say, well, yeah, it's totally superstitious. Was it chance? I mean, you go to Vegas and throw the dice, that's all about chance. I can't explain fully the whole thing on casting lots, but I do know this much. They believed that God would express himself through the roll of the dice. So the lot fell on Matthias. Maybe they said, okay, if it's Snake Eyes, Matthias gets it. Otherwise it's Joseph, Justus. I don't know. And it doesn't really matter. Matthias is who the lot indicated, and that's who they designated. He was added to the 11 apostles. What would you have thought if you had been Joseph, Justus? I got to be old to remember Get Smart, but he was famous for saying, missed it by that much. I don't know what Joseph would have thought. I know what I would have thought had I been Joseph. Part of me would have gone, whew, dodged the bullet. That being an apostle, holy smokes! I don't know if I'm up for that. I don't know if I can. Right? Okay. There's another part of me that would have gone, well, hey, wait. Why not me? I don't believe. Well, we don't even know what he thought. I do know this much. There's nothing included here about Joseph resenting this. He didn't even say anything negative about it. To me, I think that leaves me with an example. I don't know what Matthias thought. I don't think he would have thought, yeah, baby, I won. This is not about winning or losing. This is about, this is not just an office. This is a role and a function. And, by the way, you're going to be on the front lines. And when the enemy attacks, you're going to be one of the first to get the weapons aimed and shot at you. I know there are people who love the politics of church. They want to be in that position to have the authority. And really behind that is they want the power to make the decisions for the good of the church, of course. That's not Matthias. It wasn't Joseph. These were guys who they just wanted to do what God wanted them to do. I want to be like them. I just want to be the guy who just wants to do what God wants me to do. Well, okay. I'm going to cut you a break because I'm done for today. I'll see you next time on Soul Care with Stevie Boy.